particular video. So in this video, we are going to implement the core features, that is the chat rooms and the chat messages. We are going to work with that in real time. But before that, you have already seen the previous videos where we have designed the Firebase chat application using Ionic, and also we have worked out with the authentication part, with all the designing part and everything. So with this, now we are good to start with our core part. But before that, if you want to learn Ionic with Firebase or with Node.js, everything in beginner to advanced level, then you can check my other courses which are available on Udemy, and limited period offer are going on. Go and check that out. The link is there in the description. So with that being said, I will start this video right now. Let's get started, guys. So you have seen how we have done the authentication part. Now I'll explain you one thing if you missed out. Well, out here I have created the document for users. User collection is being built, and I have created a document within that collection with this particular ID, the UID I'm passing, alright, and along with the data. So now how it looks like, let me just show you. I didn't show you earlier. So this is the data that we have. This is the UID, and if you want to check the UID or match it, you can get it from the authentication. I have opened it up in another tab. So this is the email and this is the user ID H6J, and that we have out here. Alright, within that I have the email, name, photo. You can see the random number is working pretty nicely out here. Then we have the UID at last, and it's great to go. So we have the user out here. Now let me create some more users. So what I'll do, I'll just copy it up and I'll go to the incognito mode. Like I said, I won't do it out here, otherwise I'll get some problem with the authentication. So in this sign up, I'll just go for, let's say, Technyks, or name should be good, right? Technyks. Then technyks@gmail.com. Any password, I'll just skip it. Sign up. Loader we haven't shown, and it's working out here. Alright, so we have now two users, which you can see out here where it is. If I reload, you will see one more user. Now let's create two more users, and then we will go ahead with this. Or should I create one more? I think one more will be better. I'm a little greedy, right? I need at least three people out here. So apart from me. So in order to do that up, I need to close it and open it up again, because I don't have the logout functionality, which I think I should work with that, right? So in order to work with the logout functionality, we already have in the auth service, that part. So in the home page, what am I going to do? Let me go to the home page, and in the logout one, I'm dismissing the popover, and I should get this .auth service .logout function out here. So I won't do it in this particular manner, but I'll get it from the chat service actually. And in the chat service, what am I going to do? Because I want the authentication out here to get the user ID, the UID one. So I'll be using out here. So let me get it. I'll make it public so that I can call it wherever I want. Auth service. In this particular manner, I'll inject it up in chat service, and this chat service, I'm going to use it up in my home page. In the constructor, I will inject this particular one. So private chat service. Alright, once that is done, everything is good to go. Where am I getting this error? Yeah, .auth. So actually I'm calling the auth service, but I'm using the chat service to get that auth service. Alright, so now it's okay. Now the logout functionality will work pretty nicely. So if I go again to the incognito mode this time, let's do it. So localhost 8100, you can see. Now if I go for creating a new user, let me go for Dia, and dia@gmail.com. Any password, go for it. Registered is done, and this is created. Now if I go for the logout one, I've clicked on the logout. What happened? It's not redirecting me to the login page. What if I reload it up? Then I'm getting back to the login page. That should not happen. Well, this is a promise, this logout function. So let me just do something else. This is the one that I'm going to have. If it's still not redirect to the login page, then we can do that up, or we can navigate to the login page directly. Now let me just try it from here. What happens if I go for logout? Okay, it's still not redirecting to the login page. That should have worked, because out here in the auth guard, it won't allow you to stay in this particular page and will navigate you to the login page, but that's not working. Why is it so? I just don't get it. Well, if that's not working, then there is a simple method. I'll go to the auth service, and out here this dot navigate, this dot router. Okay, I'm not doing it out here. What am I doing in the login one? All right, I'm doing it directly. Let's go for it then. Let's do the same out here in our home page also. After the logout is done, I'll redirect to the login one instead of the home one, login one. Fine, that's it. And you will replace the URL. Replace URL will be set to true. Fine. Now if I go out here and let's go for sign up, I'll create one more, prem@gmail.com. Go for sign up, and here we are. Close it. All right, now log out and back to the login page. So it's working again, right? Anyways, so this is done. Great. What else do we need to do? Well, we need to work around with the other stuff now. Let me just log in. Let me go for login. And in the login, what is wrong out here? I don't understand. Alright, now it's fine. Well, the image was breaking. Anyways, we are going to replace everything out here, so don't need to worry about it. Now, at first I'm going to have the user data, which will be present out here. So let's get that done. Now, in order to get that working, I need to go to the home page, TypeScript file. So whenever the model is opening up at that point of time, I need to get that done. So whenever it is getting triggered, this particular model, I need to work with that. So at first, what am I going to do? I'm going to just comment this users, and out here I'm going to have this observable of type any array. Then the next, okay, this one also I need to comment. The next thing that I need to work with is the new chat function, which is this particular one. Well, out here I need to call the get users. Okay, I need to get all the users. If this user data is not available, then only I'll go for it. If it is already available, then I don't need to call the API again and again, correct? That's why I'm not doing that up. That's why I'm keeping this condition. And now I need to get this particular function. So this particular function I'm going to create in the chat service, but this will be the functionality. I'll call the chat service.get users and we'll get the user data from the users observable, which will be available in the chat service. So let's get that done now. And this log, I don't need that. So I'll go to the chat service and prepare that up. That is very much interesting now. So in the chat service, I'm going to have two properties at first. One is the current user ID and the other one is the users observable. All right, let me import it up from RxJS. That's done. Then what am I going to do? In the constructor, I'll replace this code with this particular one where I will inject the auth and the API service all together, and I'll call this .get ID function, which I'll just create right now because I want to get the current user ID every time I enter this particular service. All right, for the first time whenever I'm entering, that's when I need that, which will be having this particular value. This .current user ID will be equals to this .auth.get ID. I will get the value directly from there itself. All right, once that is done, the next thing I'm going to do is I need to get the user data. Now in order to get the users, that means this particular users, these are the users that I'm going to get. All right, all the data from there itself. So in order to do that up, I'll have this functionality. So I'm going to call collection data query because I will be calling the data in real time. So I'll be using collection data for that. Now this are from API service, which I have not created for the time being. Let's work with that now. So in the API service, let me go out there and create the functionality which I need. One is for the collection data query, where I need collection ref at first. So like the way we have created a doc ref, I need to create a collection ref. So after doc ref, let me create this collection ref, which will hold the collection reference. All right. Now I've imported it up. So again, this .firestore is needed and the dynamic path that we will be passing out there. Now once that is done, I need to import this query also. So everything is modular. So each and everything is a separate module out here, which is a good stuff in most of the cases. Now this collection data is very much important. If I'm sending the ID from here, all right, then what happens? I'll get this ID field also. Otherwise, I won't pass this ID field altogether. So out here, I don't think I need that. So I'll just remove it. And this is for the value changes that happens in the collections. All right. So I'm just calling everything from here. Let me remove everything. I'll create a constant instead of all of it. And I'll import this collection data. This is very much important. This is like using value changes earlier on with Firebase 8 version that you might have used. If you know about Firebase Firestore, then you might have used value changes, and that's the alternative of using that up. All right. So this code is pretty clean. Now I have done something for the query. Now in the query, you can pass this data reference, whatever path is there for the collection. And then the query function. In the query function, you can pass where clause, then order by, then startups, started, ended, or how many limit you can pass, sort by you can pass. So a lot of functionalities are there. You can pass it directly. All right. You can pass one or multiple. Multiple can be passed in array form. All right. So that is what you need to do out here. I'll show you few stuff which you can understand and work around with that. So let's go to our chat service, and out here I need the where query also. So for the where query, what am I going to do? I'll create a function out here only in the API service, because I want all the imports to be at one place. That is a better option to work with. You can directly have it in the chat service also, but I will keep it in this particular manner. So where will provide three things. First is the field name, second is the condition, and the third one is the value. So similar things is being used out here. So I want all the users. The second parameter is not needed. So now I hope the errors are gone. I suppose what's wrong, the API service, we have two parameters, no, three as of now. Let me remove it. Now I think it will be fine. So two parameters, one is the user, that is the path of the collection that I want, and from there I'm checking if the UID inside the collection, if it is not equals to the current ID, then I want all the data which is not belonging to my current ID. That means I'll skip myself and get all the other users, because I cannot chat with myself, right? Apart from that, I'll get all the users. So that is what is being done out here. Now I'll go to the home page TypeScript file, and out here we have the user data in here getting ready. That's great. That is why I'm calling this get users function. Now what will happen if I call this get users function? It will call the get users at first, and then the value that is being set out in the users one, I'll get the value directly from there itself. You can just see this is the user data that is getting called, and I'm calling this function, then only this particular value will be set, and once that is set, I'm directly calling it out there. All right, because I'm not returning anything from here itself directly. That is why I'm doing in that particular manner. So both ways are pretty fine. Anyways, let's go ahead and work with the HTML part. Now in the HTML, I need to make some changes. What are those changes? Well, basically I'm getting some error because this thing will be an observable, and I need to make a sync out here to make it work. Now you will see the error is gone. Great. Once the error is gone, we can work with it pretty smoothly. Now I need to check the user list data. So what exactly I'm passing? I'm passing the photo, name, and what? Anything else am I doing? I don't think so. So I think everything is good to go. Let's check it out here, whether everything is working as expected. I'll just click it and we get the data. That's great. So this data that is coming up out here is the dynamic data that is being passed from here itself in the image. This is the one. All right. So this is coming from this particular URLs. So I'm getting all this data. Now, if I click on anybody, any user, then the chat will start with that particular user. And if the chat already exists in the chat room, means that there is already a chat room for that. What is a chat room? Basically, the ones that are coming out here belongs to a chat room. That is how I'm going to structure the data. So if it is already available, then I'm not going to do anything. Means I will just check whether any new user, if I'm starting a new chat with a new user, then if it is existing or not in an earlier chat, I'm going to track that up out here when I'm doing that up. All right. So at first I need to check whether it exists, and then if it does not exist, then I'm going to create that chat room out here. So let's do that up. I hope you're getting me. I'll close all the files for the time being. Save all. Sorry, close all. And this all things I'll just comment, not needed to check. All right, I need to just work with the home page for the time being and chat service. That's the two stuff that I need. Okay, so first of all, I need to work around with the chat room. So in order to work with the chat room, let's create at first the chat service stuff. All right, so similarly, the way I have created for the users, I need to create for the chat room also. Fine. So chat rooms. All right, now at first I need to create a chat room instead of getting the chat room directly, right? So how I can do that up? Let me just show you one by one. So in order to create the chat room, this will be the functionality that I'm going to use. So at first, I'm going to check for existing chat room. How will I check? I'll create a constant called query snapshot, which will be equals to await this .api.getDocs. Now the getDocs function is not created, which is used to get all the documents from the particular collection. So this is the collection of chat rooms, which is not available right now because we haven't created it, right? So that's where I'm going to check, and this is the collection name that I'm going to keep also. That's what you need to remember. And then I'm checking for the where clause. Don't worry, I'll create it. Let me first explain what exactly I'm trying to do. So in the where clause, I'll be checking for something called members. So how exactly I'm going to structure the data, let me explain you at first. So this is the structure that I'm going to maintain. All right. So in the members one, I'll pass the UID of myself, the one who is starting the chat. All right. Or whoever it is. Means the 2 ID will be there because it is not for a group. If you want for a group, definitely you can have all other IDs also out here, the users who are belonging to this particular group. But I want for the time being, I'm using 2 IDs out here. One is the one who is sending the message and the one who is receiving the message in both ways. All right. So the 2 users that are using the chat, private chat, I'm just having those IDs out here. Then I'm putting a type to private. You can have the type to be group also, so that in this particular manner you can identify the types of messages that are being used out here, and you can differentiate between groups and private messages. And I'm keeping created at and updated had to be the new date, which will be passed out here. Fine. So this will be my data, and in this particular format I'm going to keep it. Now I need to create these 2 functions, add document and get docs. So what am I doing out here in the where clause? I'll explain at first, then I'll create these 2 functions. Now in the where clause, this is very important. I will be checking for those members where the user ID, means there can be 2 formats, right? If I need to check the accurate array structure, because otherwise it's not giving me the proper result. That's why I have done many queries, but finally I stayed with this. Now there can be 2 possibilities if you're keeping 2 data in an array. Either the first means my user, suppose I'm chatting with you, so there might be a possibility that my user ID will be at the top and your user ID will be at the second position in the array, right? Or it can be vice versa. Your one will be at the top, my user ID will be at the second position. So that's why I'm checking in these 2 arrays if any of those matches with this particular members array in our chat rooms collection to whichever document it matches, then I want those things, because to whichever I'm chatting, suppose this is the user ID with which I want to chat or create a new chat. So I want to check whether there is any existing chat with that particular user is available or not, where I am there and he is there, not with someone else, right? So that is what I'm checking. And when I get that particular data, then I'm just mapping that data, and this is what is holding doc data function is holding all the data. All right. And once I get the data, I'm just matching up, means appending the ID with that and returning the item. Now let me first create these 2 functions, then I'll explain later on. So I'll go to the API service, and out here, let me create out here get docs function, get docs. I'll just import it up. No, not from here. Import from Angular Firestore. That's fine. All right. So this is the function that I need to have, where I'll call the collection ref, and if there is any query, so this is what I have kept. If there is any query, then I can do it in this particular manner and get everything, all the queries within the data ref in one variable only, and then passing that particular variable out here. Now this is the representation of get function that we used earlier in Firebase 8 and something. So this is what we need to do, and then once that is done, I can directly use it out here, this get docs function, and do all this functionality out there. Once that is done, the mapping will be done and we get the data in a proper format. That's what we need. Once that is done, I'll check for the room length. If the room length is greater than 0, that means we have some data out there, right, which is matching with the existing chat rooms. So if we have that, I'll get the first data out of it. So if we get the first data, then I'll simply return it up. Otherwise, I'm going to go for the creating of new data or new chat room, I would say. So that is how it's going to work. Alright, now let's create this add document function and get that working. So again, I'll go to the API service, and out here after the set document, I'll have the add document function and I'll import this particular one. Now what is the difference between set document and add document functionality? Basically, it's very simple. In the set document, we are setting the document ID out there. That means, let me just show you out here, this particular ID, we are setting it up. All right. We are not having the dynamic one, which is auto-generated. So that is what is the difference. In the add one, it will be generated automatically. That is the only difference we have, nothing else. So I hope you're getting all this stuff now. Let's go ahead and go to our chat service. So everything is good to go out here. I hope you have understood this particular part. Now I'll just call this create chat room thing in my home page. So in the home page, when I will click that particular user, what is happening? Let's check it out. So we have this on click event that is getting triggered. Start chat function will be called, and in here I'm going to work with that. So let me replace this particular function with the new one. So in this particular function, well, I'll just remove this loader. I won't be having any loader out here. If you want, definitely you can create one. So in this start chat functionality, what am I going to do? I'm going to create the chat room. So first I'm going to call the chat room, create chat room function directly from the chat service, and it will return a promise. So I'm using async await, and everything is done within the try catch block. So I'm going to get the value within the room itself, and then I'm going to check that up. If the value exists, all right, then I'm going to call the cancel one so that the model will get dismissed. And then I'm going to create the navigation extras. Why I'm doing that? Because I need to pass the item name. All right. Basically the username I need to pass. So I'll get that from this particular data that I'm passing out here. All right. So whichever user is selected, I'll get the name from there, and I'll directly pass that particular name to the other page. That is a chat one. All right. Once that is done, I will redirect to the chat room one with the ID of the room, because I will be getting the value of the room, right? And then I'll get the ID from there and pass it up. Once I do that up, and after that I'll pass the navigation data also, which is present out here, all right, which will be passed in the form of a query params. So question mark, and then it will be passed. So that is what I'm doing out here to get that done. All right. I hope it's clear. So basically, if we do that up, our chat room will be created. Let's check it out. So in this particular application, I'm going to click this up. We are getting the users, and I'm going to start the chat with Dia. Let's go for that. Existing docs is an empty array. So we will go ahead and create a room. Now in this room, well, look at this particular stuff. I'm passing the name as query params. That is why question mark is being given. Now we need to track this up, track all the data, and show, instead of the sender, I need to have Dia, and then the messages will start exploring. So let's go for that now. So in order to do that, let me go to the chat page. So in the chat page, I'm going to work around with the other stuff that we need to work with, right? But before working with the chat page, we need to complete with the home page at first. So out here, I need to show the chat rooms directly out here so that we can work with that, right? Now for the message and this particular timing, I'll not show that up. All right. So I'll just skip that up, and I'll go directly to this particular one. Where it is? Where was it? Okay, I need to go to the TypeScript one, and let's work with this now. So instead of the chat room one in this particular manner, I'm going to have the same stuff like the users one. All right. Instead of that, I'll have the chat rooms. Fine. Then what am I going to do? Well, I think I'm already calling. No. So I'll just create a function out here. Let me name it as get rooms, and this will be the stuff that I'm going to create. And I'll be calling this function directly in my ng on init in this particular manner. Now we need to create this function in our chat service. So get chat rooms, I need to create that up. So similar way we have done for the users, I'll get that done. Let's do that up. I hope you have understood this particular part. Let's go to our chat service and work with that now. So in the chat service, after creating the chat room, I'll create this function out here. So let me just paste the code, and then I'll explain it, because there is a very tricky part which you need to understand. So let me just paste it, and okay, I need the order query also. and what's wrong, this is not needed, and I think I'll just pass the ID everywhere. So I'll just go to the API service. What am I doing in the collection data? Let me just pass the field ID field to be the ID in this particular manner. Let me have that everywhere only. Alright, so once that is done, let's go back to the chat service, and out here, well, this is the functionality. Let me get rid of all the errors and I'll explain you one by one. So I've imported it up, then doc data query, and I need to call order by query. So these two functions I need to create. Let's do that up quickly. But actually I just need this part only, I don't need the whole stuff. So let me just remove that. This one also I'll remove it, and this one I'll import it. Okay, off also I'll import it. Fine. Only I need this doc data query. Let's have that in our API service now. So I'll go to the API service, and out here I'll simply paste the code. So this is the doc data query, same to the collection data query. So it will only represent a single document. That is why it is doc data query, and this is collection query, because it is going to go for the collection data. This one is only for the doc data. Alright, so everything is good to go now. Let's go ahead. So this one also you can skip in the similar manner if you want to. I'll keep it. I won't make much of a change. Let's go ahead with this particular stuff and work around with this. So what am I doing out here? For getting the chat rooms, I'm getting the collection data query. That means I'm calling the chat room collection, and I'm checking out there with a where query that members whose array contains the current user ID. That means the user ID of the user who is using that particular application will track that up and will check if that array contains that user ID. Then only those documents will be fetched and displayed out here. That's what it means. Otherwise, if your ID, you are the user and your ID is not present out there, what is the meaning of calling you out there in the chat room, right? That's what it means. Because that particular chat, you are not there, right? So the chat doesn't belong to you. Fine, that is why it is being done in this particular manner. And then I'm using a pipe because this will give an observable, right? So I'm using a pipe, and then I'm mapping the particular data that I will be getting out here, which will be in the form of an array, and I've given this type so that there won't be any error. Okay, undo that up. Now I'm logging the data, and within that data, what exactly I'm doing, see, I'll just explain you out here. I think that will be better. So let me just reload it. Then you will get the chat room. Alright, so now we get the chat room, and within the chat room we have this particular document where we have this particular fields. Now in these fields you won't have the names out here for the members. Each member does not have any name. So in order to get those names, well, I am doing this particular stuff, this mapping stuff. Otherwise, up till here, we will get all the chat rooms, correct? Now, in order to get the user data, basically the user name, I'm doing all this stuff. So I'm mapping the data that we get, each and every data that we get from the collection. I'm tracking that up, and I'm tracking the user data out of it. So how am I doing that? I'm tracking each and every element that I'm getting from the members one out here, and then filtering it up for tracking the user ID, current user ID. That means the user who is using that, I'm tracking that ID. If it is not equal to that, then what am I doing? I'm getting that user data, because I don't want my name, I want the other person name that I can display out there, right? That's why I'm getting this particular data, and I am calling the doc data API so that if there is any change in the name also, then also it will be reflected out here, because I want this application to be real time, correct? So the doc data query will help us to get this particular data from that particular users collection, and the document that we need, we will get it directly from here itself. So user 0 will help us to get that particular ID of that other user. All right, and we are passing it directly out here. Once that is being passed, we will get that user data in our user one. Once that is being done, I am setting this dot user equals to the user. Now this will be in the form of an observable. This user won't be passed directly, it will be in the form of an observable that is being passed. So that is what you need to remember. If you use pipe out here again and map the data, it won't work in a proper manner. So you need to pass the data or the user in this particular manner only, and then return this particular data. And finally I'm using another switch map in order to return an observable, so I'm using return of data. Of means it will convert the data that we have out here again into an observable. So that observable will be passed to this particular chat room. I know this is little complicated for you, this particular part. The other part is simple according to me, apart except for this array contains, which I have explained. I hope you have understood this part, but this is very vital for you to understand. All right, so there may be other options also for doing that, but I thought this option will be better, so I went for it. Later on, if I find some other useful thing to be done, I'll definitely include that also. So for the timing, this is what I need, and this is how I'll call this particular function get chat rooms to get the chat rooms. All right. Okay, once that is done, the functionality is ready. In the home page, well, in the TypeScript at first, I'm getting the rooms, but since it is an observable now, so I need to change out here. Chat rooms will be async at first, and then out here the chat rooms that are available, let me just align it properly at first. So what should I do out here in order to get that working? For the image, well, I need the image of the user, right, which I won't be getting it directly. So user and name, these two things are very important. The message, well, let me not pass any message because we are not doing anything to get the last message. All right, and the timing also, well, I'm not doing anything, so I'll comment it up. I know things can be done, but I don't want to go ahead in depth of that because this is a simple chat application. We need to focus on the chat one now. So how do we get this name and photo? So in order to work with that, well, I need to get the user data, right? So I'll use an ng container to just revise this data as user. All right, otherwise I have to call this use async pipe everywhere, which I don't want. So in that, I'm going to pass everything within this particular container, and now I can simply use this particular user in here directly, but I'm getting an error. Now in order to resolve this error, I'll call a function called get user. Fine, and there I will simply pass the user data, and finally I'll call this photo from there. Now in the get user function, what am I going to do after? Let me do it out here. Get user, I'll get the user of type any and will return this particular user. That's the only thing I'm doing, because the problem that was faced out here is basically the type one. It was unknown, so I've just given type any and it is taking that up. Fine. Once that is done, the same thing needs to be done out here. Copy it up and paste it out here in this particular manner. That's it. So once you do that up, everything is good to go. Let's check this out now. So I'll go out here to the Ionic app and you can see the eye is coming up. That's great. That's what we want to achieve. Now let me give it a try. I'll go out here to the plus button and I'll click on the eye again. Now see, I'm entering the same chat. It is not created again. If I just go back, there is a single chat room. If I just reload it up also, no other chat room is created. That means that it is detecting the existing one. All right. Now if I go for another user, say like Technyks, you see that this is showing up pretty nicely. It is redirecting and we have two chat rooms. That's great. That's what we need, right? Similarly, I create one more only altogether. Let's go for Prem. Let's go back. So you can see the chat rooms are created pretty nicely. We don't have any issue out there. But I want to change the this particular images. So what I'm going to do, because sometimes random also generates the same thing only. So I'll go to the user and change the Technyks one actually. Which one is it? The last one? Yes. So let me just change it to 7.5. All right. Once that is changed, it is detected out here automatically and it is finally changed. All right. That's great. And the frame also I would like to change. It's an old one. I don't want to give that. So let it be 3 to 4 and you can see the changes out here. That's looking nice. All right. So we are done, and this is very great because this is the name of a girl and it is showing up a girl. All right. So our chat room is created pretty nicely, successfully. We can see that pretty nicely showing out here. That's great. Now what we need to do? Well, once the chat room is created, we can go inside that and work with the other stuff. Now, in order to send this particular name out there, it's a pretty big challenge. Let's work with that and achieve that up. Let's do it. So it's time to work with the chat messages part. Let's do that. So I'll go to the chat room TypeScript and we have the send message function out here. So instead of sending this a message at first, we need to get all the things that we need. So out here, I'm going to change few stuff from ng on init to all the things that we need out here. So let me simply paste it. So what have I done? Let me just show you one by one. So at first I'm getting the ion content identifier. So this is what I'm doing. So I can directly get in this particular manner using the view child, because I want to have this scrolling functionality. That is why I'm just calling this ion content. We are going to work with the don't to worry. Then this chat will be an observable this time. So I'm just doing that up. ID, name, that's what two things we need. Then the message, whatever message we are sending, that is a message, that is the ng model. We have already created that up. Then the is loading, and finally the empty screen model. All right. We're going to work with each one of those right now. So I'll just import all of this. So nav controller also we are going to use for navigation through the functionality that you will see right now. We don't have anything called global service. Now what's happening out here, I'll just show you. I'm creating a constant which is equals to this.route.snapshot.query params. In order to get the query params from the URL, these things should be used. So once I do that up, I'll get the data out here. And this is giving an error because it is of type params. So let me give it of type any. I hope that will give me the result. So once I do that up, I'll get the name. And if the name exists, then this.name will be shown directly out here. Fine. So we'll have the name. Then I'll get the ID from the param maps. That means chat / the ID. Alright, that will be denoted by this particular ID because we have passed in the route the same thing only. If you change out the name out there, definitely you have to change the name out here too. So I'll get the ID, and if the ID does not exist, then I'll simply navigate back to the earlier page. Once that is done, I'm calling this get ChatRoom messages function, which is not created yet, but I'll just create it right now, and I'm passing this.id out there because that's the ID of the ChatRoom whose messages I want to get, right? To that particular chat room. Then I will be calling this.chats will be equals to the observable that I'm going to create out there in the chat service. That's what I'm going to call. Then for the scroll event, suppose there are a lot of data, right? And you want to scroll to the bottom. So that is how you can scroll to bottom using this particular thing. So if the chats exist, then you will simply scroll to the bottom in 500 milliseconds duration. So that is how it's going to work. So this is the function that I have passed out here. I hope you have understood a bit. So this is the main thing where I'm getting all the data. And now what error am I getting out here? All right. So this chats, where it is, it will be async. So this error is gone. Now this current user ID, that's what I need to pass. So this will be the, so what is this now? This particular ID, where am I going to get that? Well, I'll get it from the chat service directly. So chat service dot current user ID. We have that out here, right? So I can call it directly into our HTML wherever we are injecting this particular service, because it is of type public. I am not given private. If I give it as private, it won't be used. So this is the whole stuff. Now I need to create the selected chat room messages. So let's do that up. So at first, let me create an observable out here, selected chat room messages. And after that, I'll just scroll to the bottom and create a function, this particular function where I'm going to get the chat room messages, which will be ordered by created at, which I'm going to create right now, the order by query. And finally, I'm going to pipe it in a reverse manner because I want the data in a reverse manner, because the latest data should be at the bottom, right? Then only I'll scroll to the bottom. That's why I'm reversing it up. So this is the stuff that I need, and simply I'm calling the collection data to get this particular collection, or all the documents which are available out here in the messages. So this is the route, or not the route, I would say. This is the path which I'm going to have. So the chats, within that the chat room ID we will have, and then within the chat room ID we will have all the messages. It will be documents of messages. Each and every message will be a separate document. Alright, so this will be the stuff. Now I'll go to the API service and create this order by. So similar to the where query, I'll have this order by apart from this direction, ascending by default, and order by I'll just import it up. Once that is done, everything is good to go. No errors out here in our chat service so far. So I can simply use it up. What's wrong? Okay, have I done anything wrong? Actually, it's two things only. What about if I remove this up? Okay, actually this true is not available, so I'll just remove it. That was the error, actually. Fine now. Okay. I don't want any hookups out here. So I'll just do it properly. Now this get ChatRoom messages is properly done. Let's look at it. So you can see no messages are showing up out here. If I just go back and let it get loaded, I'll go inside Dia. Okay, I don't see anything called Dia out here. That's strange. Well, actually, I think I did wrong out here. Basically, I'm passing the item. So within the item, in order to get the user, we need to use this particular stuff. So let me just copy it up and I'll just go out here. Instead of this particular stuff, I'm going to paste it. Now this will be item dot user. This will be this dot get user and one dot will be removed. I think now I'm going to get the username. Let's check it out. So I'll just go back and I'll click out here. Well, the user ID is not getting appended. Am I doing anything wrong? Let me cut this and I'll check it out here within a constant call name that will be equals to this particular value. Let me log this value. Alright, and I'll pass the same value only in this particular manner because the name is same, right? Let's check this out. Well, it was working earlier. Suddenly what happened? I just don't understand. This start chat is working with which? Yeah, this recent chat only. No. I think I'm doing wrong. This is start chat. Oh my god. Wait, that's my mistake. This is fine. I need to go for gate chat. This is the one where I'm going wrong. I need to get this done. I'm sorry. So when we are entering this particular one, in order to get the data out here, in order to get the name and everything, well, we need to work around with this get chat function in the home page TypeScript file. So let's work around with this. So I'll have the username within the item dot user. So let me just do it in this particular manner. Let me replace this code. So I'm just calling this get chat function again, and I'm having this item dot user, which I'm calling using the pipe, and I'll take one. That means it will subscribe only once. It won't keep on subscribing for new stuff. So that is why this take one is very important, and then subscribing to it to get the data. Once we get the data, I'm going to get the navigation extras. Once we get that, I'm going to navigate to that particular chat room messages one. Fine. So let's check it now. If I just go back and click on this Dia, you can see the name is again showing up and it is working out here. So that is how you can get the data. All right. Once that is done, we get the chat and everything. We get the data also. Now it's time to work with the empty screen, because right here you don't see anything, right? So if you don't see anything, we will call the empty screen one, which is out here. So empty screen, let's design that up. Everything is ready. It's time to call this in both the places. So I'll call it in the home chat page actually at first, so that I can show you how exactly we can work with it. So let me just import it up in the components module. This is the one. Once this is done, I can call it in the HTML. Now in the HTML, in the ion content, I'm going to check for this particular condition. If the chat's length is equals to 0 by using this async pipe, then I'm going to call this up. All right, and I'm going to pass the model, which is already created out here, where I pass the icon. Title will be no conversation and color will be warning, or I can change it to whichever I want. Let me go for danger. These colors will be taken directly from the themes one. Let's check this out. So look at this, not looking that bad, right? So you can just have this up in your design. I hope that's looking nice, right? You can change the color as per your requirement. All right, so once that is done, I will have the same stuff, copy it up, and in the home page also I'll just pass it up out here so that we can have the same thing in our home page too, if there are no chat rooms that are available. So I'll copy it up from here, copy it up and have it in our home page after this, and let me import it up in this particular home page components module. This is the one imported. Now we can use it up simply. So this won't be chat, it will be chat rooms. Fine. And for the model, well, I have already passed. Now no chat rooms. Fine. Color, well, you can give danger or dark color. I think dark will be better, right? Yes, the dark color will be better. And instead of chat bubbles, well, you can give anything you want, any other icon name. So I'll keep it as it is. Then out here also I'll give the color to be dark. Great. All right. So so far so good. No, the dark one. No. It's not looking great. I'll have the danger one only. So let's keep it as it is, and then now it's time to send some message and get this message up and running out here, right? So what am I going to do now? In the chat page everything looks fine, so we simply need to work around with the functionality of it. So in order to get the chat messages, what I need to do, I need to do what I have already done everything which I could, so it's just need to send the message now, correct? Let's do that up. So to send the message, this is the functionality that I'm going to use out here. I'm going to check if this message, if you are giving a space also, I'll just drag that up. If it is empty, then I'm not going to go ahead and I'm going to pass it toast message. So this toast message, or I won't do anything actually, I'll simply return. Alright, I won't pass anything toast message also, I'll simply return. I won't do any functionality. Alright, so if it does not exist, then I'm going to do everything within the try catch block and this global error too, so I don't need that. You can use the toast message if you want to, but I don't want that. So I'm just using out here is loading to true, whether that loader will show up or not on that particular send button. So I'm just sending this to the chat service send message function, which I will create just now, where I'm passing the ID of the user who is using it, alright, along with the message. Then I'm setting is loading to true if everything goes fine. If there's any error, then we are tracking that up in the catch functionality, and setting is loading to false. Alright, so that is what we are doing. Now let's quickly go to the chat service and create that send message functionality out here. So after this get ChatRooms function, I'm going to create this particular send message function. So within this, I'm going to create this new message where I will have the message, the sender, which will be the current user ID who is using that up. All right. And the chat ID is basically the chat room ID that is being passed. I just messed it up. I told you that it was the current user ID. No, it was a chat room ID that is being passed. Now, if the chat room ID already exists, then I'm going to add the document. Otherwise, I don't want to add, because if the chat room ID is not there, definitely there won't be any message that will be passed within that, right? So that is very much important. Just for the confirmation, I'm checking it up. Fine. And I will have the created also, so that we can show the time also out there. All right. So I hope it's clear to you. So once that is done, everything is good to go. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to create the messages. Let's do that up. So it's time to go out here and go for creating a new message. So I'm going to type out here hi, and this is to Dia, right? So I need to open up the Dia one also. So let me just chat properly between the two. I'll just get it outside this particular one in this particular manner. All right, then I'll simply minimize it up in this way. Now I'll open one more in incognito for Dia. So localhost, inspect, minimize. All right, so this is one, this is two. Now I'll log in with Dia here. Fine, the login is done and I can see Nikhil Agarwal is showing up. So I'll go inside that and the name is showing up. That's great. Now this is not proper. Fit to screen. This one will also be fit to screen. That's great. All right, let's start with this one. I'll send a message to Dia. Hi, this is showing up out here and it is showing here too. Now Dia will send me a message. Hi, and I can see the message out here also. So it is properly working, the chat message, and the timing is also coming up, but it is 10 a.m. So I need to change the timing at first out here. So I'll go to the chat box and to the HTML one for the timing. Well, I need to pass this particular one now instead of this one. But if I pass this up and you're chatting on another date, well, I'm not doing anything for that, correct? So what if I pass M then D? So D. All right, in this particular manner, let's see what happens. So nov 18, no, this is not looking great. Let me do it in a different way. DM, then I'm going to have a hyphen. Will that work? Okay, it is breaking out here in the second one. In the first one, it's fine. In the user one, it is breaking. All right, after testing few stuff, I just tried with min width also. I've given min width of 50% at least. So it is showing in this particular manner with 50%. You can reduce it to little more if you want to. But let's check this out with a bigger message. What if I pass? How are you? Okay, this is still not looking that great, I suppose. Right, this is not looking that great. What about I am good? How are you? Alright, this one is fine, but this one is not looking that great. Maybe because of the width that I've given out here. Let's check it out. So what exactly I have done, let's check out here for this particular one. So this is a small one, it's taking this much size. So what have we worked with the small one? Well, I think this will work properly with the normal text message with the timing apart from this, because that's what I have designed out here. I think I have to work with the sizes one in order to get that going. So if I give a bigger message out here, let's try it out. Also, where do you stay these days? Do let me know. Anything, I'm just chatting out here to make it bigger. You can see this is coming up pretty nicely, right? But not the other one. I mean, if you have a bigger thing. So you can just play around with this stuff with the designing part. For the timing, I'm happy with this messaging part, right? This is coming up nicely out here also. Well, I am good and staying right now in India. Fine, let's send it. Alright, so the color of the crescent one I think I need to change, but this is coming up pretty nicely, right? So you can just reduce it the way you want, or you can enlarge it as per your requirement, correct? I think it's working pretty nicely. I'll keep it as it is. This is looking great. Now I'll just chat a little bit more because I want to see whether the scrolling is working or not. Wow, that's great. Let's catch up soon. I never texted it to anybody in this manner, which I'm doing it right now. Yes, of course. Text me when you are free. Okay, what do I give it right now? Sure, I will. I think we can meet tomorrow. Okay, fine. That's look great. Okay, few more messages to go. Eager to meet you. Alright, scrolling is working, right? Me too. See you soon. This is working. Great. So I'm loving this part. So our chat application is nicely working out here as expected. Just few more tweaks, you do it and you can make more refined work out here. So this is how you can play around with this chat messages and you can get the things working. If you just go back, you will see all the things out here, and if you go inside Dia, you will see this up, and if you go inside Technyks, you won't see anything. So that's the beauty of it. So this is how the chat application is created, and this is what I wanted to show you. Now one more thing which is very important, I think I have not covered it up. Let's go back to the home page, and in the home page I have on segment change. Alright, so this dot segment will be equals to event dot detail dot value, because I want to change the segment value whenever you are clicking on someone else. Otherwise this will keep on showing up because the one that I'm clicking will not be updated, right? So if I click out here, it's gone. If I click out here, it's still gone. If I click out here, again it is coming up. That is how you can play around with the segments, correct? So if I go inside that, again it is showing up. Out here also nothing showing, and get inside that. Great, correct? So this is the whole stuff. I hope you like this particular video. So this whole chat application is what I wanted to show you with Firestore. If you want to do it with real-time database of Firebase, do let me know in the comment section in YouTube, and in the course one, you just let me know in the Q&A ones. So we have almost done everything now. Well, almost I'm saying because we still have something to do before wrapping this up. So what is that? Well, basically that's gonna be the refactoring of the code, or optimizing our code, I would say. So where is the optimization that is needed? Let me just show you up. So I've already applied a lot of things, so let me just show you one by one so that you can also do the same stuff. Alright, at first I'm into the sign up page HTML, where I am passing a condition to our iron button, which is our submit button, the sign up one. Alright, and why I'm doing so, because I want to show some other button when I've already clicked on the sign up and it is loading. Alright, for the loader I told you I'll show you at the very end. So that is what I'm showing you. The iron button, I have it out here where I've given fill to be clear, and I've given a condition of ng if is loading, and this is not is loading. So whenever is loading is set to false or not set, then this button will be called, and if we have something if the loader is activated, then we will have this particular stuff in the HTML1. Now it is properly carried out here. If you just want to check, we have already given it up. Is loading to true, I have set it up out here. Is loading to false, and if there is any error, then out here also if we get some result, then also I'm setting is loading to false, and is loading already we have set it out here to be false by default. So that is what we are doing, and this is the only thing that we need to do in our HTML for the sign up for the loader. Similarly, I have applied the same stuff in my login too. You can check it out here. So we already had is login property available in our TypeScript. You can just check this out. Now once that is available, so we have already passed this up. I suppose I don't remember exactly, maybe we do, but if you haven't passed, simply just pass it up wherever you need to be. At first we will set it to true, then when we get the data, that means the loading has no use right now, so I'll set it to false at the very end. And if you get any error also, then you also need to set it to false. So you need to remember this up. Once that is done, you're good to go, and the button is the same. This is the same button, just the condition is login is there instead of is loading, and out here not of is loading. All right, that's the only thing. Not of is login, not loading. So that's what you need to do. That's a simple stuff. So comment this up and simply paste this particular code and you're good to go. So this is the minor changes which I have done in the login and sign up design. That's working pretty nicely. So we'll check that out, don't need to worry. Then after that, what I have done, let's check the services. So in the chat service at first, what I was doing is I was directly passing this .get ID in the constructor. So when we do that up, there might be one issue that you will be facing, which is when you log out from one account and log into another account, then the data of the previous account will still be there. If you face that kind of an issue, definitely you should not call this .get ID out here because it was already called. So this particular get user ID will not be changed. If you want to change the value of it, then you simply need to call it again. And in order to call it again, well, the first function which I'm going to call, I'll directly call out this. Which the first function in our case was get ChatRoom. So I am calling this function directly into the get ChatRoom at the very beginning. So once we do that up, our things get easier because we get the correct user ID and we can work with that. Alright, so you need to remember this up. If you don't do this up, definitely it will lead you to some trouble. So remember to apply this modification. Alright, then let's go to our auth service, and in the auth service, in the logout one, what have I done? After setting our UID observable to null, value to null, I have set this .current user to also be null because we are setting this dynamic property which we are changing all the time whenever we are getting the ID. So we are setting something, right? And we should destroy it at the very end, setting it to null, right? That's what I have done when we are logging out. So it's going to be pretty simple. If you have some data out there, then it's going to be cleared pretty nicely, so you don't face any problem out here anymore. This is the thing which I have applied for the modification, and it's good to go. So now let's check this out in our browser, how it works. So I'll just run Ionic serve and let's check it out whether whatever I have said it works pretty nicely or not. Alright, I'll just inspect. Now first of all, we have this data that's pretty nicely working. Alright, this is for an account. I'll just simply log out from here, and after that I'll log in again with another account. Let me go for this one. We will check both the stuff if it is working properly or not. So I'll just hit login now, just check the loader whether it is showing up or not, and when we get there, we will see the proper data for that particular user. Click on login, the loader is showing up, that's great, and we see the data change out here, that's great. So these are the stuff that you need to do in order to work with it pretty nicely. Alright, you need to remember that up. And last thing which I want to show you, let's go to our design part, to the home page HTML. And out here, what have I done? I have removed the condition which was there earlier in our ion list because I found out that out here, if you don't have any data, the list is still working and it is showing this particular data which I don't want. So in order to remove that up, what have I done? I have wrapped it up in an ng container because ng container does not take any space. So I have passed the complete condition out here in the ng container, and then I'm checking out here for the length. If the length is greater than 0 for the rooms, because we have set it as rooms, right, this particular value. So if you get the length to be greater than 0, then only I'm going to go ahead. Now why I have done that up? Well, if you want to pass the same condition, then you have to check the length out there itself, and if you check the length, you cannot set as rooms out there. So that's why I have done to set as rooms. I have passed the condition in ng container, and it works pretty smoothly, right? If you check that out, if you don't have any data, still it's going to work pretty nicely. You won't face any problem. That's what you need to tackle out. And let's check the other one also, the chat one. Do we have the same condition out there also? Yes, I do. So I'm going to do the same here also. I'll just cut this up. In fact, I will have the condition ng if. Alright, but I'm going to wrap this up in an ng container in this particular manner, pass the condition out here, okay, and then move all the IL stuff within our ng container. And in the ng if, I'm simply going to go for chat $?dot greater than 0. That's it. So now we are good to go. We won't face any problem now. Okay, we have passed the proper conditions everywhere. So this is the optimization part which I have applied, and it will work pretty nicely. You can just check that out. All right. So with this, we are good to go, and nothing else we need to do out here. I can simply remove this one also from here, or should I keep it? I'll keep it for you guys. Okay, so with this, our job is done, and we have successfully designed and implemented real-time chat application, and this is in front of you guys. You can just work with this in your Android and iOS devices if you want to. You just need to run Ionic build at first. Remember that up. Let me just show you the commands quickly. So Ionic build, that's the first command you need to run in order to go ahead. All right, once that is done, you are already syncing everything. Now you need to change you have to go to capacitor.config.ts file and change your package name. All right, just give com dot, then your you just have to pass out here your domain name in a reverse manner. So com.technyks.firechat. That's what I have given. Well, you can give any name which you want. All right, so that because in iOS it won't work properly if you give io.ionic.starter. That's why you need to do this up. And once that is done, you can simply go for Ionic cap add iOS, or you can go for Android also. It's gonna work pretty nicely. Okay, in my case, the platform already exists because I think I have already added it while checking it up, and I have added a Android one also, so not a problem. I can simply go for Ionic cap open iOS. Alright, the Xcode has opened up. Now I have already selected iPhone 14 Pro, which was by default. Okay, that's great. I'll go for the play button and let's see whether it works or not. So it is launching the application. Okay, the app is launching out here. The simulator has opened up and we have the app running. Well, I already run the application, so it is already running. Don't worry, you will get the login screen directly. I'll just log out. Okay, so this is the login screen that you get if you just sign in. All right, I'm ready to go for the sign in and we are good to go. There we go. I get the proper data. That's where it is working pretty nicely. All right, friends, so this is it for this particular video and this particular course. So you must have learned a lot of stuffs out here, I suppose, and I have made sure that you get all the stuff that you need to build a simple Firechat application using Firebase. That is why I'm saying Firechat application using Firebase and Ionic. So this is the whole stuff that I wanted to show you in this particular simple course. So if you like this particular course, please do give a 5-star rating on Udemy. And if you are liking this course on YouTube or you're watching it on YouTube, definitely you just give out there some comments, like the video, and if you haven't subscribed, you are free to subscribe out there too. So before wrapping up, I would like to tell you one more thing. If you're searching for on YouTube for this particular video source code, then you won't get it out there. Sorry guys, but for that you will find this source code in Udemy. But don't worry, the course is available for free. You can just get it out there and get that done. Go and check that out, and you will get the whole same thing only which I've shown in YouTube, but the source code is available out there. Alright, you can enroll for free. Don't worry guys, I won't charge you anything for that. And if you're watching it on Udemy, then it's going to be easy for you. You will get all the stuff out there. So with that being said, I'm wrapping up this course and this video out here. Thank you very much for watching. I'm waiting for your comments everywhere guys. So fill the comment section guys. I'm waiting for your comments to see. Alright, so with that being said, bye bye.